Y'all might remember that last year I had Thy Catafalque a Fooled on my top progressive metal albums of the year because of music like this. And this year we're being blessed with another Thy Catafalque LP. What a turnaround, and this one is drastically different than the last one. It's incredible. Check this out. So how did Tamás manage to write and record two brilliant albums with widely different sounds in such a short amount of time? Well, let's ask him. Tamás is my guest this week on the Heavy Metal Philosophy podcast. We talked about the new album, how to pronounce it, art, photography, putting a band together to play live for the first time, and a few other very cool things. So let's not delay anymore. Episode 192 of Heavy Metal Philosophy featuring Tamás from Thy Catafalque. Tamás from Thy Catafalque, welcome to Heavy Metal Philosophy.
Hello, thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure, and I'm excited about your new record. Now, I'm sorry, I'm very bad at pronunciation. It's 12, right. And then can you help me with the pronunciation?
Okay, it's gyönyörü, álmok, ezután jönnek.
Yeah, I would never. I'm from the southern part of the United States, and we don't even pronounce our own words correctly down here.
Yeah, but don't worry about that, because that's why it's entitled 12, because, I knew that it was impossible for anyone to pronounce it outside of Hungary. So I just wanted to make it easier.
Yes, I will definitely stick with 12. Thank you. So you're coming off basically a year from A Fooled, and that record had a black and white album cover. It's a self-portrait, and it was a very dark, moody, and heavy record. And now I've listened to 12, and the album cover is this bright, again, a person in focus, and it's in a field. It's a very bright album cover, and the music is also very bright, playful, magical. It's still very heavy, but it's kind of got more of a triumphant vibe versus that more melancholy vibe that I got from A Fooled. Am I reading too much into this, or did you come off of that last record and go, okay, now that I've done that, I want to do a 180 and explore this other area?
No, I was just in the mood of a bit getting back to be more adventurous than before, because with Alfö, I needed to make something more straightforward, and it was decidedly a heavier album, and I just wanted to get this kind of atmosphere out of the system, and I did Alfö, and then after that I wanted to get back to the more adventurous side of things. So it was a conscious decision to be more playful this time again.
In the writing process, did you maybe come up with a riff or two and you go, oh, that's too dark, that's like the last one, let me hold this one for later?
No. I put everything that I had in my mind. I just was in a probably a bit more colorful state of mind.
I understand you also do photography. Did you take the photos for these two album covers?
No, because on Alfö it's me on the photos, so it was taken during a promo photo shoot, and I like the photo itself, the picture, because it was sort of exciting with the doggy running in the in the photo, and it was not meant to be a cover art, because I personally I don't really, I think very few album covers that are showing the artist is very good. I don't really like them, and except some of those. And Motorhead comes to mind, because I think that's an iconic album for the Motorhead album with the musicians on the cover. But otherwise, I don't really like them. But this one was not mainly about me. It's about the atmosphere.
Yes.
And the colorlessness of it, and also with the doggy running into the field. So it was not that very dark because there was a bit of fun on the cover. And with this one, the new one, it was taken from the video. We shot a video for the first single, and it's a frame from the video.
Wow, it looks clear to just be a frame from the video.
It is because the guys had I think 6K camera.
Wow.
And it was, they just purchased the camera just before the shooting, because that was the first shooting with that camera, and it's very pristine high definition camera, and yeah, the frame itself was good enough to be a cover artwork. Yeah.
And not the last album, but the album before that also had this photograph of a landscape with a singular subject.
Yeah.
Again, I'm sorry about the pronunciation. Is it Vidoc?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. So, is that something about that theme that really speaks to you? The landscape. I noticed lots of your photography is landscape or candid images of people. So these last 3 albums, or rather the last 2, and then the upcoming album 12 has, a landscape with a singular human subject in it.
Yeah, it was accidental. I didn't plan it, but I realized after I had the new one, and I looked back, and okay, I said, oh shit, it was the previous, before the previous was very similar. But it was also taken from a video shooting. So it happens like this. It was not planned, and it was just accidental. So I liked the image, because that one Vodok had we were up in the mountains. So it's sort of the opposite of the new one, because it's in the flat area of Hungary, at the flatlands. So, but still in Hungary. But I like these natural kind of backdrops and atmospheres. So I promise the next one will not be like this.
I like it. It's definitely not.
No, it's enough now for a while.
It's definitely not a criticism. I like it because it's very Thy Catafalque, but it's also, like you say, each one is different, expressing a different mood, especially a fold with the black and white, and then this one being in a field. I think it's very cool.
Thank you.
And speaking of the brighter colors of the album cover, also the brighter colors of the music on this record, I understand this is the first one where you didn't do all of the production. You actually brought in help to do the recording.
Yeah, I needed to, but I realized I reached my end of getting better production, because I think the last 4 or 5 albums sound like basically almost very similar to each other, because I always did it myself at home here, and I just couldn't find a way to get better in this. So I decided to go and work with someone else who actually knows what he's doing, and do something different. I needed to to have the basic things to sound the same, but I needed some fresh air, and I didn't care what direction. I just needed some different direction in the sound production, just to make it more interesting for myself.
It's definitely a change, and I think the last few records sound great as well, so don't sell yourself short, but I just find that different people will make subtle different sorts of decisions. For instance, a guitar player playing an A chord, maybe some guitar players prefer to add a 7th to give that A chord a little color, and where another might prefer a 6th, and a different producer is going to make just a different decision to get there.
Yes, there were plenty of decision makings during the process. So we had to decide how to go, which way to go, because there are 100 ways to go with every decision. So we worked on it together, and I really enjoyed that I was not the only one to to decide about things, because Gábor, who is the sound engineer at Miracle Sound, where we did the mixing and the mastering, he had very good ideas, and he was thinking about a lot of small details that I never thought about, and I think these small details that are make the record a bit higher in the quality, in the sound quality.
It does sound good. I would just call it different. It's got a brightness to it, but that's also because of the music you made as well.
Yeah, and I wanted to keep certain aspects. So, for example, we kept the guitar sound. My guitar sound was something that I sent it to him, and he tried to make better guitar sound, and he found a lot of better tones, but they didn't really fit to the music. And he ended up using my original guitar sound that had been present in the previous albums as well, because I used the same equipment, the same guitar and everything. So the guitar sound stayed, but everything else was a bit refreshed around it.
So 2022, I believe, was your live album, and all these years, we're 12 records in now. It's been a studio only project, but recently you've decided to start playing live shows. And so you play all the instruments and you do vocals on all these records and everything. So I noticed that you were playing bass live. What made you decide which instrument you were going to play when you put the band together? I'm going to hire guys for this role, I'm going to play this role, that sort of decision making?
Well, the thing is that I wasn't supposed to play on the first gig because I just didn't want to play live. I didn't care about it at all. And other people pushed me to do this. And the plan was that I wasn't going to play at all. But then there was this, because it was a special gig, it was a lot of people on stage playing different songs, because the time was not enough for the whole show to do one band. So it was a complicated situation, whatever, but I ended up playing bass in 3 songs. And I played the bass because there was no bass player for those 3 songs. And the bass was the best. I mean, not the best, but the easiest. I think that's the easiest instrument to play on a basic level. Not in a professional level, because professional level is absolutely like it's very high standards, but to play basic bass is not so hard.
Yeah.
It's much easier than playing the guitar or the drums or sing. And it was okay. I said, okay, I do it, and I play the bass because it's not that big of a deal. And since then, it's still the easiest part of the show, I think, playing the bass. So that's enough for me. I didn't want to play, but then I realized it's a kind of fun being on stage, and I have so good musicians around me that it's great to play with them. So I stayed on stage, and we now do this.
So you had a good time, and now you're doing it again.
Yeah, that's the story. Yeah,
that's great. So
it was still good.
Yeah.
The first one.
You have 12 albums of material. So you say you put together different music, because you have a lot of guests on your albums anyway.
Yeah.
So to get all these different sounds throughout your career, you had to hire multiple different versions of the band and swap out musicians during the performance.
No. There's one band, one permanent band with
Just
eight
a lot
people.
of guests coming on then.
Yeah, sometimes, but many of the times we don't have guests. We just play whatever we can play with the band we have. So it's a normal band. Like we have 2 guitarists and bass and drums, and we have 4 singers, 4 vocalists. So that's the catch. But other than that, musically, most of the time it's only us on stage. Sometimes when we have the opportunity and we have the time, and we have guests like playing the cello or playing the oud or some special instruments on special gigs. But most of the times it's just us on stage, and we try to arrange the songs the way we can perform. I don't really stress about this, because playing live is a different kind of animal than recording the studio's version. So I don't want to replicate everything from the studio, because that's something else.
Yeah, Yeah, there's been the debate in metal recently about if it's okay to play two tracks or not. And I think it's perfectly fine to play two tracks, especially for a band that uses orchestration. Are they going to travel with an orchestra? That makes no sense. But I also like this idea of the live version being a different version of the song as well.
Yes, we do backing tracks, but only with for keyboards, for synthesizers usually, because there's no point in hiring someone to play the keyboards, because that's not, at least on our level, because those keyboard parts are not some parts that are demanding, like jazz pianist or something like that would add a lot to the music. They are just standard keyboard parts, whatever, they are programmed anyway most of the time. So they can come from the AG and it's fine, but we never put vocals, for example, or guitar solos or extra guitar parts on the backing tracks because we can sort it out ourselves.
Yeah, I think we're still sort of establishing, the best practices, but I think you're right. I think keyboards are fine. I think it's fine for people to do harmonies, if they don't have four singers like you do. But I would definitely raise my eyebrows at somebody doing main vocal lines, guitar solos, that sort of thing.
No. Or some bands do the bass drums, for example. It's ridiculous. But for us, we have four singers, so I told the guys, we don't do this. If we cannot do this with four people, then we don't do the song at all.
Yeah, very cool. So I want to talk to you about your photography because I'm also a concert photographer, and
all right.
I it's just something weird about it because, obviously my main passion is music, and that's my main outlet. But there's some other itch that gets scratched by photography. There's some other satisfaction that I get in front of the screen when I'm going through the shots I got and maybe looking at the different light. And I just wonder what your perspective on that is.
Well, first of all, it has been a while since I was doing a lot of photography. These times I don't have time or I don't travel that much because I usually did nature.
Yes.
And I'm not good with people, actually. And I'm not good photographing people. I don't know why. I probably lack some interpersonal skills that are needed for good portrait photography or any photography with people. So most of my photos are just lifeless objects or nature. But I'm no good with taking pictures of people most of the time. So I don't know. I never thought about concert photography because of this. And you need a special equipment for that.
Yes.
And I had to decide back at the time what I wanted, and I wanted doing the nature part, and that's a different kind of equipment.
Yeah.
I went to that kind of thing.
I saw a few of your candid shots of people. I thought those were great too. I agree with you. Like, I'm not very good in the studio. Like, I definitely don't have the interpersonal skills to be like, okay, pose like this. I don't even know what I'm looking for. I like the element of randomness. I like to capture things as they happen, and I feel like that's what happened with your candid shots of people. You capture a moment of emotion, or even your nature photography. That's what's happening in that environment at the moment.
Yeah, but this candid photography is getting wild now. You cannot do street photography anymore because of the legal things. And I didn't want to chase this because it's more embarrassing after a while. So I didn't care anymore. I really love street photography to look at, and I would love to do this, but you can't anymore. At least here, it's sort of an issue with taking photographs of someone without permission.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know what the rules are here for just people in the public street, but concerts, the photographer would own the copyright.
The concerts are different, I think, because they are when you buy the ticket, you accept the conditions, and the conditions include there can be photographs taken of you or images of you, and that's not your possession anymore. So it's different, but I'm talking about normal street photography, just on public space. And sometimes you can do this when there is some public holidays or something. There's a festival, or then you can do that. But normally, just on a weekday, you need permission.
Interesting. So the reason why I was asking about that is just I find it fascinating when artists branch out outside of their normal medium. I wonder what sort of itch is getting scratched there.
So I think mostly it's music, and I really love to do the artwork for my albums, because I every time I do them, and the posters and all the graphic stuff for Thy Catafalque, it's usually me. So I enjoy that as well, graphic design.
And what about the other end of it, the consumption of art? What sorts of other art do you like to bring into yourself?
All right, I really love architecture and films. Like, I think animation and this kind of arts that are loosely connected to music as well. And literature, of course.
The reason why I ask is because your catalog is so varied. So I just imagine there must be a lot of input.
Well, I think it's regretful, but not that many. I mean, I'm reading books, and and I'm watching movies sometimes and listening to music, but generally that's all. I'm interested in culture in itself, like arts and culture, and I try to watch the world and learn new things. And sometimes they inspire me, but other times they don't. I don't know. Probably it's just I try to work with what I have in myself and what I have gathered throughout this, 48 years.
So to close, I just want to compliment how prolific you've been over the past couple of years. I mean, A Fold was just last year, and this is a completely different record. That's incredible to me. What do you attribute to this work rate, this creative output?
I don't know. I think it's simple, because I love doing this, and I'm still interested. I'm still excited about creating something, and that's all. I love making music and doing this. And when you have a passion for anything, I think work is not really work, and it becomes a kind of fun. Yes. And time flies, and you do things. But sometimes you're not in the mood, and that's absolutely fine as well. Because I know that for the last 2 months, probably I didn't do anything. Oh no, that's not true, because we did record a new song, but I feel like I didn't do much recently. But that's fine, because I have to prepare for the shows, and we had to do the videos, and there's always something organizing. So I know that it's not time for creating, but there will be a time, and then I will do something or not. It is not it's not a matter of life and death. It's just I do whatever I feel like. And fortunately, recently I was a bit more productive than before, but I don't know what the future holds. So probably I won't do anything for 5 years. Who knows? I don't know.
Just do it different again. Every year you put out some sort of recording, be a live album or a full record. You do a dark record, you do a bright record. Now you wait a long time. Just do it different every time.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want, and I have a complete freedom about the creativity, and I'm in a very good position, and I'm very lucky position that I can do whatever I want, and I have a record label that most probably will release it. And I'm aware of my exceptional position, and I'm very lucky, and I'm happy about this.
So you said you recorded a new song. I don't know if you're free to talk about it. Is this for another project, or is this for the next record after this?
Oh, no, for the next record. We recorded some vocals. I have the song itself. It's like 11 minutes long, and we recorded vocals for it, and there is some parts to do. But yeah, that's finished now. One song is done for the next one.
Is that your typical workflow? A record's done, and you just concentrate on the song you're working on, and eventually you wind up with a lot?
I finished this 12 album last November.
Wow.
That's when I submitted to the label. It needed to wait 1 year because of production things, and it had been, well, it's still, usually it's 1 year or even more that I have to wait until the album gets released. So now I had 1 year, so that's one song for 1 year. I think it's not that fun. So well, I think I'm done.
What was the full? Was it June last year? Did it release?
Yes, it was June the 14th or something. Like
so that one must have been sitting in the can for a while too, if you were done with this one in November. Either that or just a burst of creativity.
That's 1 year because the previous one was also like 1 year late.
Yeah.
So it's like that. So usually when my album gets released, I am well into the next one.
Well, that's super impressive. You say you got shows coming up. Is that going to be in support of 12? Is that after the release across Europe? Yeah, because the album is getting released on the 15th of November, and we'll have a double gig in Budapest on the 22nd and 23rd of November. So 1 week after the release. So we will play half of the album on the show, on both shows actually. So yeah, it's gonna be half of that album and full of the previous one. Very cool. And I assume it's just like it's been before, the gigs you like, not necessarily a full-on tour.
We did have a European tour. Well, it was 10 cities, a small European tour this spring, and probably there will be another one next spring, but we have no details yet.
Okay.
But we plan to do one more. But it's 10 cities. It's not that many, and 10 days, and we can manage. But I don't think we could manage much longer tours because everybody in the band have different bands, and everyone has jobs, daytime jobs. So we just cannot afford to go on a tour like for a month or something like that.
So that means if you want to see Thy Catafalque and it's coming near you, don't wait. Make sure you see it because it might be a minute before you come back.
Yeah, if you can, just try to see us if you want to, because there's not many opportunities, I think.
And I'll put your contact details, social media, website, whatever, in the description so people can find it. Unfortunately, I guess that means I won't be lucky enough to see you in America. But, hopefully I come to Europe every now and again.
I think it's getting very, very hard to get there now from Europe. Yeah,
it's hard for me to get to Europe too. I'll be there in November, hopefully, but I don't know if I'll be near you, but that would be sweet.
Well, the shows are sold out, so
it's just not looking good for me.
Well, actually, it was sold out in 2 hours, the first one.
Well, that's fantastic for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Sometimes it happens because we don't play that often, so there's a demand, and then usually they get sold out fast.
Very cool. Well, again, November 15th, the album is 12. Thy Catafalque. Good luck with the release, and thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me.
Thank you very much for having me.